February, the month of love, and you are watching Divorce Decoded, where we explore what can go wrong in a divorce and how to make it right. I've got not just what you should do on Valentine's Day, but much more important, I've got some very important things you shouldn't do. So put on your listening ears, maybe take some notes, and let's get through this holiday together.
Ruby Bolton is the founding attorney for the Bolton Law Firm, one of the largest law firms specializing in divorce located in Montgomery County, Texas, including a practice in Harris County. Ruby Bolton is board certified as a family law specialist by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization. Ruby is a super lawyer designated by Thomson Reuters. Ruby is one of the best, designated by the Houston Chronicle, and she would love to share everything she's learned in the last 30 years with you.
And welcome to the magical month of February. This is the month where everybody's thoughts turn to love, or sometimes a lack of love. As Valentine's Day approaches and you go through it, you might be thinking, how am I going to handle Valentine's Day when I am going through, or recovering from a divorce? So I will tell you, you're not the first person to wonder that. It is something that I see a lot of clients have a difficult time with. And I see people frequently assume that their spouse is breezing through the divorce and that they have no difficulty with it at all. I hear a lot about how she is doing just fine. Why am I having such a hard time? So I want to tell you that everybody has a difficult time with divorce. Even if you are the one that filed for divorce, you're the one pushing the divorce, it is still a difficult emotional time. You're still going to have moments where you really struggle with it. About the only time that I have had clients that did not show clear signs that the divorce was emotionally difficult is when they were already well established in a brand new relationship. So if that's not you, how do you deal with divorce during Valentine's Day when all the world is focused on thoughts of love? I've really loved the movement for Galentine's Day that I first saw popularized by Leslie on Parks and Rec, and it's kind of taken off, and even now that Parks and Rec is a thing of the past, I still have girlfriends that like to get together early in February to say, let's celebrate a Galentine's Day. And they're celebrating female friendships. I always used to give my children, they'd wake up on Valentine's morning to candy and a stuffed animal or a heart, card from mom talking about how they loved them. And just as you approach Valentine's Day, if you find yourself thinking about or concentrating too much on the love that didn't work out, think about all the love that you have in your life that did. The love from your parents, from your siblings, from your children, from your coworkers, your friends. You have meaningful people in your life that care about you and that you care about. And if you don't, maybe you want to prioritize firming up and reestablishing some of those relationships rather than relying solely on the idea of a romantic relationship. So along with the idea of what you should be doing on Valentine's Day, which is focusing on the positive things in your life, making plans for yourself, I can definitely tell you there are a few things you should avoid. First off, if you have any tendency at all to drunk dial or drunk text, do not have alcohol and your phone at the same time over Valentine's Day. Give your phone to a friend, skip the drinks, whatever it takes. You don't want to send a message that's going to make you really cringe and regret it and hate yourself the next day. Whether it's a message saying, you were the love of my life, why don't you come back to me? Or a message saying, you SOB, I'll hate you till the day you die and you're awful. Neither one of those are really positive messages. They're not going to make you feel better. They're not going to improve the situation if you're in the middle of a divorce. As your lawyer, I'm probably going to see them when my client shows them to me, and sometimes they show up in the courtroom. So just no. Drink or use a telephone. Don't do it together. What I think is the most important thing to avoid on Valentine's Day, far more important than avoiding a drunk text or an embarrassing selfie, is rushing into a relationship because you feel like you're not complete without it. The worst relationships are selected by people who feel desperate. When you go out into that romantic field, not caring about who you're with, just as long as it's somebody, you are almost guaranteed to attract the wrong person. And you want to take care of yourself. You want to be good to yourself. Your last relationship didn't work. Let's be a little careful who we're going to select this time and not go rushing into anything. Part of not rushing into anything is doubt your first feelings. If you meet somebody and you are head over heels over the moon, you can't stop thinking about them. You think they're perfect. You didn't know God ever created somebody as wonderful as this person. Stop. Doubt your feelings. Question that. Are you really that wrapped up in this new person? Or is that maybe an indication that you felt this gaping need in your life and you're desperately trying to pump the person you just met up to a place where they can fill it? So take things slowly the second time, especially around Valentine's Day. It is one day of the year. You don't need somebody on that day more than you need somebody on February 20th or February 25th. And you don't want to rush into a relationship or a moment or a night that you're going to regret just because you were scared of the consequences of one night. Another thing that I would definitely recommend you avoid on Valentine's Day is using that time to stalk your ex-spouse. If they are moved on and in another relationship, you don't need to be spending Valentine's Day looking up everything about their new partner or looking at all the old pictures they have, or setting yourself up for an evening with tears and wine and a bubble bath. Spend the day doing something positive. Avoid social media on that day, particularly avoid your ex's social media. You don't need to invite them into your Valentine's Day if they're not going to be there in the proper role. The other thing I would say is be conscious of hostility and toxicity, especially if you have children. You want your children to look forward to falling in love and to see that as a bright future that they have ahead of them. And if what they learn from you is that every mention of love or romance makes you angry or sad or devastated, well, then it's not necessarily a positive thing for them. So you want to be careful and monitor how you feel about it. Now, that's not to say you can't acknowledge the fact that it sucks. If this is your first Valentine's Day without your spouse in a long time, yeah, that might smart a little. And there's nothing wrong with recognizing that. If you are having a really difficult time with it, I would even encourage you to go ahead and reach out for help. In fact, I will tell you, I think almost anybody going through a divorce, facing a divorce, recovering from a divorce, can benefit from a therapist, a shoulder to cry on, or antidepressants. And I don't think that it is perceived by our courts these days as a sign of weakness. I think it's perceived as the ability to recognize, hey, I am going through some really emotionally tough stuff right now, and I'm going to be an adult and do what I can to address it so that I can be functional and continue in my life as I was before. So most of the people that I represent in a divorce, at the end of the divorce, I hear, I am never going through that again. Unless they already are, right? So you definitely have those people that they come into my office and they've already got their next partner, sitting out in the lobby waiting on them. But I hear from a lot of people, I'm never going to marry again, or I'm never going to fall in love again. And I would say, I said it myself. So I got divorced back in 2011. I'd been married for 20 years and had 5 children. And I will tell you that I definitely told my ex and children, not in a bitter way, but just what I thought was acknowledging facts, that I would never marry again. I had my children. I didn't see the point in making myself that vulnerable. It was a decision that I made that I didn't need that in my life. My life was happy and fulfilled. I had 5 children and a job and a whole lot on my plate. And I did not need a romantic entanglement. And I talk to a lot of clients who feel the same way. Sometimes because their plate's overfull. Sometimes because they've just been hurt so badly they're not willing to take that risk. I want to tell you that most people eventually do enter into a new relationship. Overwhelmingly, people tend to even remarry. And far greater numbers, those that don't remarry, do enter into other new romantic relationships. So even if you think this is it, the great love of my life didn't work, or I suck at choosing people, it's now been proven I shouldn't be allowed to, there's probably something better waiting for you out there. And if you think it's too late, that time in my life has passed, well, I will tell you, my 83-year-old dad just got remarried. So he didn't get divorced. My mother passed away 3 years ago. But if my 83-year-old father, and he found plenty of women to date, it was astonishing, really. If my 83-year-old father can find people to date and find somebody else to share his life with, you can too. And I will tell you from my own perspective, there are good people out there. I seriously kind of questioned that. I will tell you, when I married my second husband, I did it because I badly needed help. I went looking not for romance, but for a companion and somebody to help me parent my children. And I was very fortunate in that I fell deeply in love with the man that I found. And we were very happily married for 9 years until he passed away. So no matter how bad your marriage was, no matter how distrustful you may feel or how unlovable you may feel, now is not the time to be making those final decisions. I do know people that like being single, and they have no desire to be involved in a romantic relationship. They have no desire to remarry. And if that's you, that's fine. But don't make that decision once and for all right now, not when you're in the middle of a divorce or just recovering from a divorce. It takes time. And I think that you'll find that one Valentine's Day, you'll be really glad to be sharing with somebody else in your life. So just keep that out there as a possibility. Know that overwhelmingly, people that get divorced do find love again. And they move on. And they get married, have children, have romances. That's still available for you. And you are not turning away from that forever. So in summary, embrace love during Valentine's Day. Love for your fellow man, love for your pets, your parents, your siblings, your children, your friends, your coworkers. Avoid embracing love with a stranger. Avoid stalking your ex on social media. Set yourself some good, healthy boundaries. Get the support you need. And enjoy February, because next Valentine's Day, you're probably going to feel a whole lot better about your love life.